I'm just going to rush through these slides, some of the slides, so maybe a repetition. I want 25 minutes of this. And I just want to show you what are all the 11 pandemics that has changed the course of human history from the Black Death to HIV AIDS to coronavirus. You can just see from 541 AD up to 2016, the different deaths are happening. These are all pandemics happened in the world, global health epidemics. And this is the plague epidemic that was in 17th century, and then it was Justinian plague, Black Death, and then Black Death is uh, another thing, smallpox, cholera we had, H1N1 we had, Spanish flu, Hong Kong flu, then we have HIV AIDS, we have SARS, we have swine flu, and then we have Ebola, we have COVID virus right now. So these are all the epidemics in the previous years. And you can just now see this is not the first time that the world is facing a pandemic with so many deaths. It is in Madras presidency in 1918, the death was 6,82,000. In Delhi, it was 56.6% death. And then again in Mumbai, it was 54.9%. These are all the deaths that has happened. The influenza pandemics, you can see 1918 Spanish flu, Asian flu, Hong Kong flu, and then avian flu. The pandemics are always like this. It starts with a uh, phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, and then it emanates out like this. So what is a novel coronavirus? I think Dr. Shankar has given you. Coronavirus belongs to a large family of viruses that causes illness ranging from common cold to severe respiratory distress. The first case was detected in the last week of December 2019 as a province of Wuhan in China. And then totally 7 serotypes are there. First coronavirus identified in mid 1960. 6 coronavirus adding to novel coronavirus can infect people. So this was the story of this thing. I just want to tell you, we have British government established surveillance centers in the forest because many of the diseases are coming from the animals to the man, wild animals to man. It is a jump from the forest to the living side. We had Afghan laboratory in Mumbai. We have another laboratory, vector control, vector surveillance center and Osur. We have another center in Assam and Chota Nagpur. All these centers were closed after the independence because these scientists were actually looking around what are all the causes of the disease and how the epidemics are going on in these different forests and which jumps into human lives. Here we find lots of bats around, and the bats are harboring this coronavirus. This coronavirus has got no spikes as seen in the first picture. There are no spikes in the coronavirus. I mean, in the bats. The bats infects the pangolin. There is a ant eater which is found in the forest. The shedding of these bats were taken by these ant eaters. The ant eater was brought to the Wuhan market. That was a story. It's also evident. It's a live market. Everything is brought live and it is shared after slaughtering. Like this, there is a jump in this virus, they say. So the resortment of virus, this virus changes its model. Why we call it as novel virus? The virus which was found in bats or in these pancola, or when it jumps into human beings, it changes its pattern. It mutates. It reasserts. So, for example, this is a slide related to H1N1. The virus that comes from the bird or the pig or humans, it changes a lot and mutates a lot and comes as a human virus. That's why they call it as novel virus. Like that, this particular coronavirus, which came from China, had got different changes. They say ICMR says it's about 9 mutations taken place in India, and what the virus was seen in China is not the same virus, may not be the same virus in Chennai or Rajasthan or Mumbai. And that's why we struggle a lot to develop vaccines. And also the behavior of the virus is also different. For example, all over the world, the countries are reporting more deaths, whereas in India, the deaths are very less. We are yet to really do a research on the virus genomes and also its virulence. That's why I'm telling you the reassortment and the mutation of the virus changes a lot. And that's why the question of immunologists is whether this can develop herd immunity in the community is also a big question. So the panicky situation is it's a unique virus, high infectivity and low virulence, but it spreads very fast because the causation of the disease is high fever, sore throat, cough, and then breathlessness. This all happens very fast, whereas in H1N1 it takes a lot of time. The incubation period, they say it is 2 to 14 days, but in India, we try to change it as 28 days for double incubation period. But the incubation period is also not standardized throughout the world because the virus changes its style of behavior. The pandemic breakup and all these things that happen like this. The spread is like this. Everybody knows about it. And this is what Shankar said. The disease is actually posing danger. When I was asked to give a talk to these officials in the government, I only said tuberculosis is prevalent throughout the country. 90% of the population has got tuberculosis bacilli in their body, but they are not patients. They are not tuberculosis patients. The infection actually flares up when once the immunity is lost. Like that, large number of people in this country may have this coronavirus, and they are not going to report to be a diseased person. But who are all going to have the disease? The people who are going to have cardiovascular diseases and vascular disease, cerebrovascular diseases, digestive system, endocrine, malignancy, this is cancer, nervous system, respiratory tract infection, diabetes, hypertension, people who are on HIV drugs, people who are on chemotherapy, all those people are going to be more vulnerable in this infection. Again, if you say, if you take the entire the picture of the global evidences, almost 80% of the deaths are between 60 years to 80 years. In India, the number of people who are elderly are less than about 12%. That could be one of the causes why more deaths are not found here. Many people are found to be positive in the middle age group or in the lower age group, but they don't contract the disease. That is the question we really put forth before the Indian government. That's why we are not getting more deaths. We are actually saved. And again, they say another thing: is there any micro RNA which is available in Indian people, which causes the mutation or multiplication of the virus in the human body, which saves our people? These are all another things. And the third one, what we can say is, if you take this Wuhan city, Iran, Italy, and all these things, the cancer line, the tropical line, goes the same line, and these are all the places of cold climate. The climatic changes are different. The humidity is more favorable, whereas in South India, the chances of the spread is quite less. For example, Australia, you can say. And again, the symptoms, Dr. Shankar has already said it. And who are all susceptible? Everybody is susceptible. But the worst problem is the people who are found to be positive, but they are not going to contract. I told you, large number of youngsters in the middle age group are positive for this infection, but they don't suffer from disease. But they are the potential danger of amplifier of infection to the community. A person who is not contracting disease but positive for test, he can infect the elderly people in their houses. He can infect in his workplace. That's why the asymptomatic carriers, which are increasing in number, again become a threat for the entire country, because we are started seeing large number of asymptomatics in India. I had seen in Chennai, as well as I am getting reports from Rajasthan and Mumbai. And the same thing, asymptomatic amplifiers from Wuhan, they have spent it. This is the sort of infection. There is one particular point which is not talked in lots, because this is a virus which really lodges in the throat and the nostrils. That's why we take the sample from these things. And we are only talking about hand washing and distance, social distancing, mask, everything. But again, the people who are infected are supposed to wash their throats. It is not gargling, it is throat washing, because the warm water with salt has to be really put into the throat, and you should raise your head to the roof, so that at least for 1 minute or 2 minutes, the warm water with salt is in touch with this throat, and the virus could be killed. If 5 million viruses are going to be there in the throat, if your mouth wash for 5 times or 10 times is going to remove. That is going to help you stopping this virus multiplication and also entering as a lower respiratory tract infection. This is the way that testing is being done. And here, since it is a easily spreadable disease, that even taking the sample like this, we have to follow some precautions with PPE. So the treatment already Dr. Shankar said about it. And the oxygen therapy, they say, the ventilation and non-invasive mask, all these things they talk. Now the scientists are coming forward to say evidences from All India Institute of Medical Science. Not all the patients require ventilators because there are two types of infection that is there. One is ARDS. The alveoli in the lungs are getting filled with fluid and it is going to be a distress, respiratory distress syndrome. The other one is actually the virus interferes with the hemoglobin combination and breaks into for a free iron available in the blood vessel, which causes thrombosis or clot formation, and this is going to cause more damage. There are two things that doctors are to be in a position to identify through X-ray or CT scan, whether it is ARDS or it is thrombosis or clot. So if the clot and everything is there, you cannot keep on giving your a ventilator oxygenation. You have to use CPAP like oxygenator, and this is very, very important. And uh, this is the change in whatever people who are trying to do in ICU. And the prevention, about this and hand washing, social distance. This is a contact tracing, workplace, hospital, and I think Dr. Praveen will have more information about to say this. This is the chart I have developed in 2009 when H1N1 was an epidemic, and we have been searching for it. Personal protection, we have said. This is the thermal screener that most of the airports should have, and with a lot of assistance, we got it. And this now we are insisting on putting it in the institutions and the industries. And these are all the places which you have to avoid. These are all the places where you have to dispose of the gloves. House quarantine, we said about it. The immunity, whether it is possible or impossible, vaccine, do they work? What about the status of reinfection and reinfected patients? For example, we are getting news from China and Italy. There are patients who are declared to be negative or getting reinfected. It's a mysterious virus because the second time infection, is it of the same strain or a different strain? These are all the questions. Now we have asked government of Tamil Nadu also to study the genomes, whether this is the virus of the same China type or European type, and how hazardous it is, how virulent it is, why this virus is not so virulent in India. All these things we have to do that. So immunity, when the virus is keep on changing, herd immunity, whether it is possible or not. Many of them, they say it is possible. Many of them, they say it is not possible. Vaccines, because of the change of the pattern of the virus, can we be successful with the vaccine? That's why now we are going for the plasma. Plasma antibodies are working out very well than these vaccine inventions, because almost all the blood banks in India have got a separator. We have got plasma. The patient who are recovered from this virus infection, or the patient who are asymptomatic but developed antibodies, their plasma could be separated and that could be infused with the infected patients, and that can give you a lot of relief. There are three types of the mutations, they say. Type A is the closest to coronavirus found in pets and the pangolins. The route of outbreak, they have say the first type of virus was found in Wuhan and America, because America, the 8,000 passengers are traveling every day from Wuhan city or China to California. Like that, the infection could have gone by A type. B type is the variation of coronavirus most common in Wuhan, derived from type A via two mutations. Two mutations takes place. That's why China has got different types of infection. Type C, the daughter of type B, one mutation, different to the parent variation, spread to Europe and Singapore. When I was talking to Dr. Ganga Dekar from Pune, who was previously the director of National Virology, National Institute of Virology. Now he is the president of deputy secretary of ICMR. When I said, what could be the virus here? Have you done the virus infection? He said, the most of the virus in India could be mostly from the European countries, of course, to a certain extent from China. So there are three types of viruses, and we think that the virus in India are mostly type A type. This is the another spread of infection from different sources. I think you can have the slide and see that. And the researchers are trying to figure out the prevalence of pressurized treatment. That is a point whether this viruses, how United States carry original strain of type A, while China carry mutated version of original virus strain, and how Italy, the C type ended with muted and latest emerged virus. The viruses that are found in Italy was supposed to be the worst virus. Why there is no increased mortality in India? Type A is less virulent and is to be the first source of original strain. B type is more aggressive strain than A type. Type C is more aggressive strain than the B type. So the theory suggested China would have been infected with type A strain as they are exporters. Nearly 8,000 people traveled to California. So meanwhile, in China, mutation type B has occurred and acted more aggressive. In Southeast Asia countries, people have developed immunity towards this. So Kerala is a living protocol, the one state in India which really proves to be very successful in controlling and bringing down or plateauing down the epidemic curve is Kerala. No hesitation to adopt the basic methodology of any place. And Kerala has developed a treatment model which is a combination of China and Italy. It's a model developed from Indian for the Indian population. It is developed as a clinical guidelines to streamline the treatment efforts against uh, corona. So these are all the things Dr. has said. The mechanism of action, hydroxychloroquine is a public health drug, I will say. I am a public health physician and also infected this person. We used hydroxychloroquine for arthritis. We used it for chikungunya as a disease modifying agent. We use it for malaria. And now this same chloroquine is used in this coronavirus because it's a disease modifying agent. One group of scientists, they say the virus, the surface line is being actually smashed down, or the outer line is broken by this hydroxychloroquine, as well as this in hemoglobin, the separation of heme and the globin porphyrin is also being changed by the hydroxychloroquine, and it has got some effect. When it is given along with zithromycin, the effect is so good. The bioavailability is 74%. The metabolism of the liver, and when I administered this hydroxychloroquine in my hospital for about 1,200 employees as a prophylaxis, we said people with heart disease, it may cause tachycardia, or sometimes the cure interval can prolong. And then we have also suggested this drug in a very precarious way for the people suffering from liver disease or suffering from renal diseases. We just wanted to avoid that. The off-life is 30 to 50 days. And the super spreaders are only the asymptomatic people, and we have to be very careful with them. And the ventilators, Dr. Cameron Kiley Seidel, Emergency Department Chief, has suggested that in COVID-19, we use a lot of ventilators, which is leading us in the wrong direction. In US, there are 80%, China 86%, England 66% ventilator-related deaths are there. Patients are divided into two categories as L and H type to make sure pathophysiology and the treatment. H type is COVID patient end up with ERDS. Alveoli is filled with potentials to exudate due to the inflammatory reaction. PEEP administration is highly effective, where substitute action of alveoli can be effectively done. CT chest will be the effective in early diagnosis in H type. L type, the COVID patients end up with vasoconstriction where alveoli remains intact. PEEP administration is hydrogenic behavior, where here the pathophysiology of alveoli is intact in inadequate blood supply. Administration of PEEP will worsen it. So CT chest will help you to all these things. So the missed opportunities in this country, we are unable to produce indigenous testing kits. If you see the number of tests done in India in proportion with tests done in South Korea or Italy, we are very, very less. For 130 million population, the 130 crore population, we conducted only about 2.5 lakh tests in this country. Research on COVID-19 in India is really not happening. We are trying to do that in our veterinary institute virology department. The genomic studies are being done. Quarantine, we are not clear when the visitors came from China or European countries, we are not able to contain them. The care of the marginalized, one third of the population suffers hunger due to loss of uh, work. And here I would like to stress that one third of the population in almost all the metropolitan cities in India are occupied by the Hatman people, Dalit people. And they say when I visited some of the Hatmans, they said instead of people dying of corona among us, people may die of hunger and lack of work. This is something which we have to do that. Questions unanswered. Mortality is low in India compared to other countries. The reason I said microRNA, or it could be the virulence of the virus is less, or our food habits, or the humidity and temperature could be the reason. And this is one cause. And why there is an increased number of asymptomatic positive amplifiers? It's a question to be really researched on that. And what is our preparation about after lockdown? This is what we are trying to do in the past 1 week with the expert group in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, how to open up these private hospitals and the private clinics. But PPE has to be really insisted upon, and there shall be no denial for admitting the patient. Why all these health sectors are asked to close down? That was the question posed. And many of the administrators, they say the doctors themselves are frightened about this infection, which is not 100% true. Long curfew has not guaranteed food for the poor or migrants who can be susceptible for vulnerable COVID problems. This is one thing in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, we have nearly about 4 lakh people. We have about 4 lakh people in 4 to 5 lakh people in this state of Tamil Nadu who have come down from northeast Northeast India, and from other states, and they are penniless. They are nobody to care for them, and I requested the government in my task force committee, the Amma Unavakam, the mothers' canteens, which was popularized by about 5 years back by me when I was a city health officer. They were all open free of cost for 3 square meal in almost all the centers in Chennai. This is what we have to do that. What is the role of public and the private healthcare sectors? That is also we are planning for it. So preparation for lifting of the lockdown, prepare the hospitals for the testing kits, treatment protocol, screen the frontliners of the healthcare workers, and then PPE should be stocked sufficiently. Ensure that the problem handled with separate unit of OP and IP. Prepare the community. Transportation, we have said the buses should have only 330 people to travel, and then they should be given hand washes and other things. Socialization, private hospital. The general advice we are given to the government is thermo scanners. This is the way that the infection that spreads. This is the oldest photo of 1918. Clean your throat. Clean your throat, man. Clean your throat with hot water and salt. Then cover your mouth and the nose. It is not necessarily to talk about N92 mask and all that. For common people, any barrier is sufficient, because instead of your fomites or a cough or a sneezing that gets into your nostrils and the throat, at least a paper mask is sufficient, they say. And then hand washing, people talk a lot about it. Avoiding touching of your eyes and nose. Then healthy habits, cover your mouth and nostrils, germ form, and stay away from the home. The only request I would like to make through this for the non-medical friends and even the medical friends, here the death, if it is going to come, it is only for the elders above 60 years or 55 years. And this is going to be the crucial thing. What I suggested to my chief minister in the meeting was the worst scenario of an epidemic is deaths. If you want to control deaths, contain deaths, reduce the deaths, you have to identify all the elders in the society and see that non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension, if it is found in them, treat them properly, test them random who are got complications. If they are positive for the test, keep them in isolation with proper treatment so that they don't contract the disease. This is the way we have to do that. Again, the non-symptomatic positive people will infect the elders in the family. If we are going to take care of the elders in this country, especially our people, the deaths are going to come down. Social distancing, wash your hand. These are all things that already Dr. Shankar has said. I'm closing down. Thank you so much for listening. I think we can have a question hour also. And the epidemic is turning out to be a milder form. But what I think as an epidemiologist, I have seen about 4 or 5 epidemics in this country, and also worked abroad. And I think we will have more number of people with positivity of coronavirus, but the number of deaths will be definitely contained. Tamil Nadu is able to contain the disease, and almost all the house field workers in the health sector, they are visiting every house, identifying people with non-communicable diseases, the drugs for tuberculosis, drugs for hypertension, drugs for diabetes are all given at the house itself. The food is given. The government is giving a subsidy for the migrant workers and the daily wage people. All these things are happening. These are all the best efforts. And the doctors are also forming the IMA and Rotary Group. All these people, they form groups and they go to reach nodes in the peripheral parts of this country, peripheral parts of the villages and Chennai and these tribal areas, and they are trying to give them food and medical help. I think this is the way that we have to plan. In the end of the session, we can identify some of the ways how we can help our people.